even the Tate brothers are calling the red pill retarded or autistic and don't want to be associated with that. And then even seeing Sneeko's completely shift on a lot of the ideas the red pillar's been saying. Do you feel like, and then Rolo having his collapse, do you feel like the red pill's losing a lot of its steam?
Well, I said that a while ago that I felt like it was, but I feel like I might have been wrong. But now I feel like I'm gonna end up being right for reasons I shouldn't have been. I've been doing a ton of... Dude, I've just been dying all day in this fucking game. I've been doing other shit, so I haven't even gotten to research it. What was the last thing we looked up on stream? What happened? I feel like we were doing something here 2 or 3 days ago, but I don't even remember. Oh, I was just coming back from that fucking Fresh and Fit stuff. Oh, watching Rolo literally self-destruct on the internet. Holy shit.
That dude is stupid as fuck. What a goober. What a goober.
What was he thinking? I'm so confused.
Nah, you know what's most telling about that whole conversation? How hard Fresh and Fit were sucking him off. That was crazy.
I think that's probably the time.
At one point, Fresh said something that almost killed me. He went, "Why are you guys being so mean?" I said, "Kill yourself."
You guys are so mean, man.
Yeah,
look at
bro, I didn't even say. What do you mean we're mean? He called us douche nozzles. Oh, it's fine. He's the grand wizard of red pill, so I can't go say anything about that. But I'm mean now because I'm calling him irrational for not having any arguments at all.
Kill yourself right now. You can just jump off the highest building in Miami. Kill yourself. You guys have never given a shit about being mean to these whores that you bring on your podcast.
That's why I kind of like.
Sudden, it's a 55-year-old white man yelling, what did he call you guys?
Oh wait, douche nozzles.
Okay, and all of a sudden you guys, bro, kill yourself. That's why these dudes, they're gonna have the craziest energy for ladies, but if it's a dude, all of a sudden they turn to bitches, bro.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I couldn't believe he said that. Why are you being so mean? Oh my.
Yeah, it was like I think I was like, it's very hard. I have to try to keep like my emotions in check, so I'm not like losing my mind. But I was so triggered because I watched him do the whatever podcast, and then I've watched these guys like and how they like run through verbally, not f***ly, but like how they like will run through all these girls on these programs like screaming and shouting at him, and then when I finally get this guy in front of me, like he falls apart instantly, and it's like the most pathetic display I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm like, is this what you guys do? Like you just shit on like women that aren't ready to debate you all day long, and then as soon as like somebody even mildly competent comes on, because it's not even like we're doing hard topics, right? This is like the easiest shit in the world. What is a high value man? That should be like, you should be able to spit like 20 paragraphs of that for us, and like this is all it takes to like set you off. It triggered the f out of me so hard. What a loser.
I will say in his defense, I did look up whether or not he ever talked about it before, and he does repeat the same nonsense every time he's brought up on this topic. So it wasn't like he showed up on that podcast specifically and started fumbling his words. He always says the same retarded shit everywhere else he goes. So.
Sure, but the issue is that like the problem is that one, he made a list of suggestions for how to become a high value man. So it doesn't make sense that he's saying that like, well, it can be whatever you want it to be if he's telling you specific steps to be that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think he's trying to do the thing where he's both considerate of the fact that people might have different definitions for high value man, and also not realizing that all his advice does lead to a certain type of high value man. So there's a bit of an incongruence between what he's saying and what he's trying to get at.
Yeah.
Because I understood the idea of it. There is some truth to the idea that high value man has some variations from place to place or from value system to value system. I think he did a poor job of eloquating that. And also he got too harped on that to say like, okay, even though there is some variation, there's still a general consensus for the most part. Well respected within the community, generally higher up on the hierarchy due to either fitness, money, whatever it is. So like, I think there's like ways he could have got that across without sounding so autistic.
Yeah, and that's like, because I was willing to be good faith-ish, but I didn't know that we were going to run into issues that early on. And I disagree actually. I don't think that's what happened, that he was like trying to be fair in how he defined it. I think what happened to him, and I know this because I've been there before, I think what happened was he made a really retarded tweet and he couldn't get off of it. So he had to like warp his mind in the most retarded way possible to try to make that tweet make sense. So he was like, okay, well, high value man. But as soon as he starts saying shit like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and whoever else like aren't high value men, it's like, bro, well, what do you mean? What is a high value man then, right? Like you must have a definition in your head if you're saying these people aren't high value men. But yeah, it was just cringe.
I think that was probably one of the dumbest parts when he said Ben Shapiro's not.
Yeah.
Why? And he said something so strange. He said like Ben Shapiro basically hounded his wife into submission.
Yeah, he kept saying that he wore her down. He said that like 3 or 4 times. He wore her down over 4 months.
Courted her. Like, you know, Ben Shapiro's story. I actually looked it up. It's kind of wholesome. No homo. He basically just.
Well, we say pause now. So go ahead.
Yeah. I say both. But yeah, when they met, they decided to spend every day after work together, like hanging out, doing work, not even like going on dates necessarily, but maybe she would be studying for a paper and he'd be writing up an article, and they would just spend time together. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of beautiful. Like, they really enjoyed each other's company, they were committed. And then after 4 months of spending time together, they decided to get married, which by serious Jewish people is very common. It's not abnormal to accelerate the timeline for a marriage. So why did you get this idea that he hounded her? And you just realize he's working backwards because he hates him.
Yeah, of course.
He's gonna view whatever behavior he engaged in the most negative light. But like, I'm like, where did you get the idea that he hounded her?
And that's kind of what I was like wondering. I was like, was there really like some weird improper shit going on, or was this just like a normal kind of like courting relationship where, you know, guy's pursuing girl and then he's, you know, persistent until she finally says yes, which can either be like really creepy or it can be totally fine, but like you need a little bit more context. But the way that he was presenting it basically was trying to make him sound like he was a rapist.
Yeah. How do you considering like even the Tate brothers are calling the red pill retarded or autistic and don't want to be associated with that, and then even seeing Sneako's completely shift on a lot of the ideas the red pillar's been saying, do you feel like, and then Rolo having his collapse, do you feel like the red pill's losing a lot of its steam?
Well, I said that a while ago that I felt like it was, but I feel like I might have been wrong. But now I feel like I'm gonna end up being right for reasons I shouldn't have been, because it feels like that Rolo tweet was actually a bigger deal than I thought it would be. I think because of him defending it, and then other red pillars, namely Fresh and Fit, feeling like they have to defend it, but the tweet being so obviously retarded, right? Like, it's the equivalent of like Rolo like tweeting out like how to be a high value man, step 1, all white people should be able to say the N-word. Like, it's on that level of stupidity. And I think that one of the things that it did, and this is something I've talked about for a while, is I don't know if I've had this talk with you, but I've said that like if you watch the Tristan videos on like how to pick women up, and if you listen to Andrew Tate talk about how to pick women up, it is very obvious that he knows what he's talking about, that these guys have a lot of experience with women, and they definitely know how to play the game. But if you listen to a lot of red pillars talk about women, they don't. They're just, this is like virgin tips for virgins. Like, that some of this shit about like the juggling all the women and blah, 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 like it's just cringe as so kind of one of the things that I wonder is, if that Rolo tweet was basically kind of like pushing everything over the edge to show that like, okay, the red pill stuff and the Andrew Tate stuff is not the same. A lot of this red pill stuff is super corny, and now you're going to see a huge schism as people try to like find their bearings of like, who do they follow post, you know, Tate collapse, I guess, of not backing the red pill shit up on anymore. And Sneeko collapse too, right? Because he's, love him or hate him, he's still probably like a decently big figure in that space, right?
I suspect that when I saw the red pill growing, one of the most cringiest parts is finding all these like hyper religious people who had gotten into it. Mm-hmm. In my head, I'm like, this whole ideology is antithetical to.
Yeah. Oh, that too is probably a hard thing to deal with. Yeah.
I think that because that's how a lot of their fan base grew. Like, all of a sudden, I saw seeing like a bunch of Muslims just fawning over this kind of content, and I'm like, you guys really feel like this movement is congruent to like your religious values? Mm-hmm. And I suspect that when this whole vasectomy thing happened, and like pretty much like, hey guys, give up your ability to have kids and have a family, which is core to a lot of religious cultures. I think a lot of people started to realize there's an issue there, and it became very incongruent with the religion, and that became obvious to a lot of people. So I think that's also a big part of it. And I think that's also why you saw Ben Shapiro and a bunch of other conservative people responding to that tweet. It's like, oh wait, no, you are now with like our religious values when you're espousing this stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it gave them a really easy way probably to separate themselves from that movement too, right? Because like for as much as people love like Tates and shit, like they are pretty toxic to be like associated with. So having like a clear delineation between like, oh, hold on, these are the red pill guys and this is us, we're real conservatives, especially as the Daily Wearers, I think, tried to set themselves apart from that. It was probably really nice too. So yeah, Rolo just gave like the perfect like inciting moment for everybody to kind of like start to break away. And then, like I said, you saw it too, like, oh my god, Like watching Myron like try so hard to defend Rolo's stupid statements on that show was so sad.
I think he didn't know. I think he doesn't know how reversible vasectomies are. I think there's a lot of people who overestimate how reversible vasectomies are. They think it's just like a quick surgery you do, and anytime you want, you can get it undone. And so I think they just said a bunch of stupid stuff, and then once you guys had told them that they were wrong, they didn't want to admit it. Yeah. Because I think if you ask most people, like, oh, vasectomies, are they like reversible? Most people think they are, because that's what even I'd heard that many times before. It wasn't actually until that podcast that I found out, like, oh, it's actually not reversible.
Yeah, or as time goes on, yeah, they're definitely, it gets worse and worse. And like, even if they're like generally reversible, like let's say they're 90% reversible, you've just sterilized 10% of your audience. Like, what the f?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember at one point, I think you guys said after 10 years, like the odds of you reversing it are 30%.
Something like that, yeah. I've read a lot of different numbers, but yeah.
Yeah, and then I think Myro said something like, well, that's fine. You can just do it for 5 years. And I started laughing. You're like, okay, so like, when do you start? When do you start? You want to start at like 19 and then stop at 25?
Yeah, that's what me and Snake were bringing up. Like 25, that's when you're going to be a high value man. Like that's when you've got all this shit like taken care of. Like, come on.
And what about all the you did before 25? What all the women you got pregnant there? Like, how do you gonna save that shit?
Yeah, and I thought that like I thought the whole point was that like men don't have any value early in life, right? Like if you're a man and you're under a grind and all that shit, like are you even that much from 19 to 25 if you're like doing all this stuff to be like hardcore grind setting?
And people always find time. You know, one part that made me laugh a lot too is I think you were talking and then Fresh was like, I agree with you. You're like, no, you don't. I just said the complete opposite of what you just said.
I hate it when people do that shit when they're like, oh, I think we mostly agree. I'm like, no, we don't agree. Why are you saying that? It actually triggers me so much. I start calling people on that. I'm like, no, we don't agree. I just said the opposite of what you said. Don't say we agree. I hate that.
Hey, listen, I'm not going to go too hard on those guys, but honestly, Fresh was embarrassing in that whole discussion. I didn't know what this guy was talking about. He kept trying to, I felt like he kept trying to smooth things over whilst also trying to make Rolo sound reasonable. And you guys were just like, nah, nah, we don't agree. We don't agree. Rolo's being ridiculous. And you guys are simping really hard because his book is on the table. I was like, yeah, get him, dude, get him.
Yeah.
Bro, I know you want to defend him because the book is here on the table, but like, bro, that made no sense.
You guys have not read the book. You guys don't know what the fuck
I'm not reading your book, bro. You can't even define what high value man is. Why would I read a book from a guy who can't have a clear definition?
You read the book. I'm not even gonna go there. I'm fucking for the last half hour. I've been trying to explain to you this shit to you. You guys have no business being in this fucking sphere to begin with. First of all.
Okay.
Second of all,
keep it forever until you're 65.
Second of all, and the reason why is because you devolve into. You want to know why? Like when we talk, nobody debates anymore. You know why? Because it devolves into this middle school bullshit that both of you are. But you guys are perfect. Yes, you guys should marry each other.
You can't call this childish when you were the one who started insulting. I would just ask you a question, and then you said douche nozzle. True. Now you're gonna go play the maturity card.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad you guys had it. Are you going to do another debate with Rolo when he comes down?
Yeah, I think Myron just texted me and confirmed it for Monday. So I'll be doing that Monday, and then Tuesday I'm on the whatever podcast. So oh boy.
Have you read his book?
No.
You're not going to prepare for the thing by reading his book at all?
I mean, like I've listened to him talk enough, and hopefully I'm not going to have a Vosh moment here. But then also like we had that conversation. Not to sound mean, but he doesn't seem like a very bright guy. Like I'm not that worried, but.
Apparently his book is really insightful and good. You're not even going to give it a shot, or at least one of them?
The problem is if it is insightful or good, it's probably because it contains a bunch of really basic shit that, like, we're going to agree with, but that, like, it's not worth, like, pointing out. Like, if it's going to be some shit like, women are generally more attractive in their youth and men gain value as they age, like, to some extent, of course I'm going to agree with that, right?
Right.
My issues are going to be with the more insanely stupid shit that he says.
Basically, for you, you're basically saying, like, it's not worth the research because, like, the odds of it being relevant to the discussion or there being anything of value to add is, like, not very high, so you're not going to bother wasting the time.
Yeah.
Have you ever read somebody's books in preparation for a debate?
Yeah, I read Lauren Southern's book on immigration.
Why'd you laugh before saying that?
Because it was, reading that book was... As soon as she realized I'd read it, I had spent so much time preparing for an immigration debate with her. This was like 7 years ago. And as soon as she realized I'd read it, she completely changed the topic. And I was like, okay, well, this was a waste of time.
You should have just come in with quotes. You'd be like, chapter 3, line 47. And you should have started rattling shit off. That would have been funny. Was the book good?
I mean, it was cute, I guess. It was like a 60-page, like, very, like, immigration is bad. Yeah.
Is that even a book? That's a pamphlet, bro.
I mean, isn't that basically Myron's book?
Is his book 60 pages too?
I think so, yeah.
Yo, that title made me laugh. Why Women Deserve Less.
Yeah.
Hey. That's a funny title. I can't believe. Hey, listen, at least he's consistent with that nonsense.
True.
That's funny. How do you feel about Pearl and her collapse happening?
It's unfortunately now it's gotten to the point where like when I hear her talk, I get angry. And now I'm starting to like read all of her tweets in her voice, and she's genuinely one of the worst tweeters. Like, had the pain of like reading over and over again in my entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit, she says a lot of stupid shit.
Yeah, it's very bizarre to watch her like just say things. I don't know what her motivation is sometimes, or how what her thought process is, if there is any. I can't.
It's just like the thought process is like, think of like the most ridiculously stupid thing to say about women. Like this could be a Pearl tweet, right? Like, women say that they never have orgasms, but women also say that sometimes when they get raped, they do have orgasms. Does this mean that women actually get raped and like it more than they let on, and there are even more false accusations than we realize? Like, that's like a Pearl tweet. It's like combining all the most retarded shit you could think of in the most retarded way you can think of for the most retarded combination of words you can think of. It's like...
I'm not gonna lie, that does sound like something Pearl would say.
Yeah.
That's actually really good. Have you been practicing?
There was like 3 days where, because I responded to one of her tweets and then I started seeing all of her tweets, and it's just like, I don't know, dude.
Let me go take a look at some of her tweets. I'm sure she's tweeting right now. Just Pearly Things. Let's see what we got. H. Pearl Davis. Okay. Let's see what these talking points are.
If the gender wage gap was really 90 cents on the dollar for every dollar that a man earned, wouldn't that mean that companies would just hire all women to save money? That means the gender pay gap must be fake, right? Like, that would be another Pearl tweet.
I thought you were actually reading one.
No, I just.
Okay, here we go. Reaction channels are becoming the new CNN of YouTube. They pretend to be the center when really they're just bad as the liberal media. I realize Cap sounds like I'm yelling on Twitter, but I really just like to add a little spice to the tweet. Just the idea of Pearl adding spice to anything makes me laugh. She looks like the most flavorless.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow, you're really...
I don't know. That's just something about Pearl and the word flavor just seems incongruent.
Yeah.
Her voice is monotonous. Her style, her look, her face, like everything about her is just so plain. Oh my God, can someone in Florida or Nashville teach me in the next 2 weeks? Oh, someone said, I want to see you so. Oh my God. I'm loving this. Oh, Zerka. Why is Zerka here?
Where is here?
I guess Pearl Davis retweeted him. And Zerka's like, Abba, this snake oil salesman pretends he's a good guy and is filled with fortune cookies.
Oh, Zerka hates you, and he's having like a psychotic meltdown on Twitter right now. Maybe he is bipolar. Would explain a lot.
But really is a cheater, disloyal to friends like Fresh and Fit. Okay.
Zerka has been non-stop tweeting about me for like the last 2 days. It's kind of crazy.
Oh yeah. Did he lose his podcast yet?
Which one?
I don't know, the one that he's doing that he said it was gonna make him blow up or whatever.
Oh, I don't even know what he's...
You guys have an interesting relationship. I feel like all he does is talk shit about you, but yeah, he always shows up in the Discord calls.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Did you guys have him in your home?
Have we? Has Zerka ever been to my house before?
Didn't you say he stayed with you when he was in Miami?
I don't remember now.
I feel like you'd remember if you did. Would you let him stay at your place?
Right now, probably not. Jesus. No, I jumped the wrong way. Yeah, right now, probably not. Bro, okay, these levels got hard.
The fake news reaction channels constantly paints my wife's school channel as a school of me teaching people how to be wives, when it's actually me learning skills that would help me be a better wife and a mother someday. Manosphere content helped me understand men better. Part of the reason why I started my channel was because I felt women needed to see this. It's good for women if we listen. I've stayed back after the show with 20 plus girls showing them the content. Many have come back and said it changed their lives and helped their relationship. Oh, this is actually pretty wholesome stuff. Why are you shitting on our Twitter? It's nice.
Yeah, true. My bad. Maybe I am the toxic one.
The fake news reaction channels never ask me for my side of the story before releasing hit pieces on me. Don't fair journalists want to hear both sides? Huh?
Ooh. She's really obsessed with... I don't know who taught her this phrase. Fake news reaction channels. TMZ reaction channels. Yeah, I don't know. She like has that phrase. Oh, she even put that in that... I saw that comment she made on your video.
Yeah, fake news media or some other shit.
Yeah, she called you guys the fake news TMZ reaction channels, even in her comment on your channel.
I think it's so funny because like Pearl does a lot of reactions.
Yeah, I know. It makes me wonder if, again, there's like a guy in India or Sudan or whatever that like writes the tweets for her. It's like outsourced.
Like if you just go on her channel and you search up the word react, there's like hundreds of videos. I don't know what this retard is talking about, but like she does a lot of reaction content. This is the stuff that makes me think she's retarded.
Yeah, just that.
Yeah, like you're like talking about bitch. That's like a good chunk of your content.
Mm-hmm.
Pearl reacts to the first date. Pearl reacts to why? Do you see her old content?
Oh, what, like the first time white girl listens to Jay-Z or whatever, like shit like that or whatever.
Whitest girl on earth reacts to Lil Loaded gang unit. What do you think that old content is about? Why do you think she did that?
I mean, it's like a reverse of the... You saw the one thing where it's like black guy listens to Metallica for the first time or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably just a spin-off of that shit.
You got anything coming up soon? Any big debates aside from the Rolo stuff?
Hopefully Rolo stuff on Monday. Is that tomorrow? Or in 2 days? And then the whatever podcast and after that.
Okay. Well, listen, I'll tune in for all that good stuff.